So this will be the chapter on ratio, rates, and speed, and we will start by the topic of ratio. And the first part, we will learn how to simplify two ratio or ratio with two terms. So the objective is today, I will learn how to simplify ratio when there is two quantity. The key is answer must always be whole number with no unit. So please take note of this. So take out your notebook, copy this down. So let us start. Now, why do we want to represent things in ratio? For example, in ancient time, like we are facing off against enemies, you wouldn't want to say, oh, they have how many thousand troops compared to ours. You would probably want to say that, oh, we are outnumbered 3:2. So they have around 1.5 times more than us. Then, in modern time, you have your aspect ratio, whereby you take your photo. If you want your photo to be longer, it will be like 11:4. I haven't really seen that ratio before. Or your Instagram is like square, 1:1. Widescreen, I think, is 14:9. But normal photo is like 3:2. So this aspect ratio is how much the length is to the breadth. And finally, things that are more important is like baking. So for baking, it is actually science. The ratio of your sugar, spice, and everything nice is important, or else your cake might not be fluffy. And depending on the total number of people that you are serving, it will determine the quantity of food that you need, but the ratio of those food will still be the same. So ratio is something that we use to compare the same quantity. For example, in the case of baking, it is ingredient. For the case of aspect ratio, it's actually length and breadth, cm and cm. You cannot compare and ask someone, what is the ratio of this length is to the weight of the elephant? Length and mass, you cannot compare them using ratio. Ratio can only be used to compare the same quantity, like how many grams of sugar, how many grams of flour. Okay, so some quick revision of primary school work, which is equivalent ratio. Now, what is important for all of you to take note is for ratio, we can actually write them as fraction. For example, 1:2, we can write it as 1/2. And if you have passed your PSLE, you should know that 1:2, you can write it as 2/4 is equals to 8/16. Then you can also write is equals to maybe 9/18. So this in turn can be written as ratio as well. 2:4, 8:16, and 9:18. But what is important is you need to know that the ratio are the same, and all of this, when you are giving your answer, you need to simplify them as 1:2. So important thing, some ratio are equal, and in exam you must simplify the ratio. So for simplifying ratio, you have actually 5 typical types of question, but I will only go through 4 in this video. The last one will be a mixture of these 4, but it will involve 3 quantities. So today we are only concerned with 2 quantities. The first one is whole number. This is the question that you will see in your primary school. If it comes out in secondary school, it will most likely be in problem sum. I will give you some problems, some homework. Don't worry about this. Other simplification of ratio will involve decimal, different unit, not kg and milliliter, but perhaps cm and kilometer, gram and kg, those unit. Then lastly, there is fraction. Fraction will spill a bit into the next lesson. So first, let us look at some example that involve whole number. Now, the key for whole number is actually very simple. Use calculator. So let us take, for example, I have 18 is to 27. Then the question asks you to simplify this. Now, you can easily type 18 over 27 onto calculator and it will simplify for you, which is 2 over 3, and your answer is 2 is to 3. So very simple, just use your calculator. Now, so you can try this out yourself. So try to simplify 144 is to 132 as well as 24 is to 42. So pause the video. If you want to do it the long way, you can. You divide until you cannot get any simpler. Or you can just use your calculator. Now, the first one you will get a mixed number, but don't worry, you can just change it to improper fraction. With newer calculator, you should be able to change it to improper fraction. So pause the video and try it out yourself. Now, I trust that you have tried the question out yourself. So if you have a calculator, it should give you 12 over 11, and your answer will be 12 is to 11. The next one, the answer is 4 is to 7. And we are done with whole number. So, ping, let's put a tick here. Next, we have decimal. So, let me give you one example. 0.28 is to 0.182. Now, for newer calculator, if I'm not wrong, you should be able to key this into your calculator and it will straight away give you the answer. But if your calculator is unable to type decimal onto the denominator and numerator, you can do it the old-fashioned way. So you make them all into whole number. So the key is to make them into whole number. Then you might ask, how do I make them into whole number? The simplest method is, you look at which one have more significant figure when it's decimal. Okay, this one have 1, 2, 3 significant figure. How can I make this into a whole number easily? I can times 5, I can times 10,000. But what is the number that you want to multiply this to make it into a whole number? So, normally what we want to do is to bring the decimal 1, 2, 3 here. So how do we do this? We can simply multiply by 1000. So since we multiply the right hand side by 1000, I must also multiply the left hand side by 1000. So what I will get is the equivalent ratio of 280 is to 182. So this one, again, you can use your calculator and I think you should get 20 is to 13. And again, if you get a mixed number, just use the change function in your calculator. Now, let me give you two simple questions. You go and try them out. Try 1.8 is to 0.4. And also try 0.36 is to 0.153. Alright? So pause the video and try this out yourself. And the first one you should get 9 over there is to 2. And the second one you should get 40 is to 17. So have you gotten the answer? If not, maybe you can try again. Hopefully you type in the value correctly. Here I multiply by 10. Here I also multiply by 10. Here I multiply by 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so also multiply by 1000. But of course, if your calculator can type in decimal in fraction, it kind of will just give you the answer. Alright? So we are done with decimal. Let's go to different units. So let's take, for example, I have 64 cm is to 0.5 meter. Now, the key is actually convert to the smallest unit. Now, so 64 is in cm, 0.5 is in meter. Which one is the smaller unit? Cm is smaller than meter, so I will have to convert meter into cm. So meter into cm, I need to multiply by 100 because 1 meter is 100 times larger than 1 cm or longer than 1 cm. So very simple. 64, it will be still 64 cm is to this one I multiply by 100. Alright, this one here I don't multiply by 100 because I'm changing the unit. So this one will be 50 cm. So type this into your calculator as a fraction and you should get something like this. And it will automatically take out the unit because you cannot type cm inside your calculator. So your answer will be 32 is to 25. Alright? Now, it can be quite tricky if you have to handle this. For example, 20 minutes is to 0.5 hour. Now, pause the video and see whether you are able to do this. Now, I trust that you have attempted the question. Let us go through how we can do this. So, the key is to convert to the smallest unit. Minute is the smallest unit, so we do not have to convert it. Is to 0.5 hour. 0.5 hour is actually 30 minutes. So the ratio will just be 2 is to 3. So I will give you some time. Try these few questions. Try 8 cm is to 1 meter. 1.2 kg is to 96 gram. 50 second. Okay, normally second, right? I will just write it like this. But just keep in mind that the unit for second is actually just S. So if I have 50 second, it should be written like this. Alright, is to 1.5 minutes. Alright, so go and try to do this on your own. Pause the video. Now, I trust that you have done your work, so let us see whether you got the correct answer. The first one is 8 is to 100. So you will get 2 is to 25. Next, we have 1200 is to 96. And the ratio will be 25 is to 2. Finally, this one is 50 second is to 90 second. So my ratio will be 5 is to 9. So this is all for different unit. Let us go to the most tricky one, which is fraction. So a typical fraction question will look like this. So they will ask you to simplify. Okay, is to 3/4. So how do we go about doing this? Some of you might be shouting, oh, let's convert it into improper fraction. Hint, hint. Plot twist, you actually do not have to do that. So what you have to do instead is, okay, key now, is to multiply by all denominator. Okay, give it S. Okay, so this one is actually the easiest. Okay, so this one is actually the easiest method to remember. Typically, the idea here is just to multiply by the lowest common multiple. But let's try this out by multiplying by all the denominators. So you have two terms down here. If we look at this, what must you multiply to 1 and 2/5 to make it a whole number? Of course, you can multiply by 10, you can multiply by 1000, you will get a whole number. But pick a number that is easy to use. Oh, why? The key is multiply by denominator. And that is what I will do. I will multiply both sides by the denominator. So I will get 7 is to 15/4. Now, make a smart guess, what should I multiply the two terms by? The key is multiply all by denominator. So I multiply this by 4, I multiply this by 4. So I will get 28 is to 15. But please do use your calculator to check whether this is the simplest form. And if this is the simplest form, then this will be your answer. Now, you can also please take note that for this question, if you multiply them by the common factor, which is 5 times 4, which will give me 20, you will also get the same answer. But the easiest key to remember is just to multiply them by the denominator. Alright, so let's try out two questions on your own. And one. Alright, pause the video and try this out. Alright, I trust that you have attempted the question. So now, just one thing to take note. Actually, some of the modern calculator can actually allow you to type this into your calculator and it will actually give you the answer straight away. So you might not need to make the denominator the same. All you need to do is to type in fraction into your calculator. So if you are confident of your calculator skill, you can actually do that. But let us do it the old-fashioned way. So here I multiply by the denominator and I will get 4. While here I will get 13 and 5 over 7. And the next step is to multiply by 7. Multiply by 7. You will get 28 is to 96. And if you type in your calculator 28 over 96, you will get 7 is to 24. Okay, the next one actually I think is easier. You should get 1 is to 12 over 5, and this one is equal to 5 is to 12. Alright, so that is about it for fraction. Now let us look at some problems, some question. In a chess club, the ratio of the number of boys to the number of girls is 7 is to 4. Given that there are 56 boys in the club, calculate the number of girls. So this is a primary school type of question. Now, in primary school, you might like to write 7-56. Now, you shouldn't be representing it like this. Now, in secondary school, you kind of learn algebra already. So let's replace this with equal. So as you can see, this is like 7 unit is to 4 unit. So instead of writing this, you can write 7u. Now, if you want to spell unit, you can go ahead and write 7 unit. But since you have learned algebra, then just write 7u is equals to 56 boys, because these 7 units belong to the boy. So u will be equals to 56 divided by 7, and I will get 8. So 1 unit will be equals to 8, and girls, there's 4 unit. So 4 times 8 will give me 32. And that's all. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, last example of this video. A string is 2 pieces in the ratio of 2 is to 7. The difference between the lengths of the 2 pieces is 90. Find the length of the shorter string. So you can pause the video and try it out yourself. Shouldn't be too difficult. And this type of question, you might like to do it using model in primary school. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so this is 7 unit and 2 unit, then the difference is 90. So this is primary school method. Let's forget about it. Alright, forget about it. You have learned algebra, so let's find the difference between these two. 7 unit minus 2 unit is equals to 90. Now, again, you can write unit, but Come on, algebra. So 5 unit is equals to 90. 1 unit is equals to 90 divided by 5, which will give me 18. So the shortest string is just 2 units, so 18 times 2 will give me 36. And that's all, folks. Just remember to stop using arrow. Alright? You can just use U as unit, even though you are kind of supposed to write the whole thing out, but come on, cheat a bit.